Your mind is your most powerful asset. It's where your thoughts are born, your beliefs are shaped, and your future is designed. Yet too often, we hand over this power to opinions, trends, doubts, and noise. When you let others control your mind, you give away your direction, your peace, and your potential. This speech is a wake-up call to protect your thoughts, to guard your focus, and to reclaim your mental space. Because your mind is too valuable to be rented out to negativity, fear, or distraction. Own it, shape it, and let it work for you, not against you. We live in a world where opinions fly faster than facts, where the loudest voices often drown out the most important ones, our own. And if we're not careful, we start to live on autopilot, making choices that reflect someone else's values, not our own. Your mind is the control center of your life. It's where ideas are born, where courage is cultivated, and where purpose begins. But here's the truth. If you don't take charge of your mind, someone else will. Think about it. How often do we scroll, absorb, and compare without questioning? We let algorithms decide what we see. We let strangers decide what we feel. We start chasing validation instead of meaning. And slowly, we begin to live someone else's version of life. Your mind was never meant to be a battleground for other people's expectations. It was meant to be a sanctuary for clarity, for creativity, for conviction. You don't need to think like everyone else. You need to think like yourself. Protect your thoughts. Choose what gets access. Decide whose voice matters. Because your future depends on the conversations you're having with yourself, not the ones others are shouting at you. Be intentional. Be conscious. And remember, you don't need to follow the noise to find your path. You just need to quiet it long enough to hear your own voice, because your mind is too valuable, too rare, and too powerful to ever leave in the hands of anyone else. Your mind is your most powerful asset. It shapes your direction, decisions, and destiny. Everything you do, everything you become, begins in the mind. It's not your environment, not your resources, and not your circumstances that determine your future. It's how your mind interprets and responds to all of them. Your thoughts build your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your behavior. What you believe about yourself, about others, and about the world sets the tone for how you show up in life. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, your life will mirror those thoughts. But if your mind is full of purpose, belief, and clarity, your life will begin to reflect growth, courage, and progress. Every decision you make starts with a thought. Whether you speak up or stay silent, try or quit, love or hold back, your thoughts lead the way. That's why the mind must be treated with care, trained with discipline, and protected from noise. It's not just about thinking positively. It's about thinking consciously. When you become aware of your mental patterns, you gain the power to redirect them. You stop reacting and start responding. Expanding. You stop chasing and start choosing. Direction in life doesn't come from a map. It comes from a mindset. And destiny isn't found. It's created one thought at a time. The most successful, grounded, and fulfilled people aren't those with the easiest lives. They are those who have learned to master their minds. They don't let fear dictate their pace. They don't let doubt control their decisions. They think with intention and act with alignment. Because when your mind is in your hands, and not in the hands of others, you become unstoppable. It all begins with understanding just how powerful your mind truly is. If you don't protect your thoughts, someone else will fill them with their agenda. In a world that's constantly speaking through social media, news, advertising, and opinions, it's easy to forget that not every voice deserves a seat at the table of your mind. The thoughts you allow influence how you feel, what you believe, and how you act. When you're not intentional about guarding your mental space, you begin to absorb the beliefs, fears, and expectations of others without even realizing it. You start thinking the way they want you to think. You start questioning your own instincts, doubting your path, and compromising your values. People, brands, and systems are constantly trying to sell you something, not just products, but ideas, identities, and ways of living. And if you aren't filtering what gets access to your inner world, you may begin living someone else's life without ever making the conscious decision to do so. You'll chase success that doesn't fulfill you, crave approval that doesn't matter, and carry burdens that were never yours to begin with. Protecting your thoughts is not about shutting out the world. It's about being selective. It's about choosing what you let in and what you reject. It's about questioning the narratives you've inherited and replacing them with truths you've earned. Your mind is not a public space. It's private property. And just like any valuable asset, it must be guarded with awareness, discipline, and care. You can't control everything that comes at you, but you can control what stays. The more ownership you take of your thoughts, the less room there is for manipulation, distraction, and self-doubt. The moment you stop protecting your mind, you risk giving away the steering wheel of your life to someone who doesn't know where you're truly meant to go. External validation and constant comparison weaken your inner clarity. When you begin to measure your worth by how others perceive you, you slowly lose connection with who you truly are. The more you seek approval from the outside, the more noise you invite into your mind. You start asking questions like, am I enough? Or do they like me? Instead of, am I being true to myself? The problem isn't recognition or feedback, it's dependency. When your sense of value hinges on likes, praise, or attention, your confidence becomes fragile. It rises and falls based on opinions you can't control. Comparison is equally damaging. It makes you believe that someone else's success is a mirror of your inadequacy. You start racing on a track that isn't yours, chasing goals that were never meant for you. And in that pursuit, your own vision becomes blurry. You forget what you truly value. You lose sight of your unique path. And slowly, your clarity is replaced by confusion, frustration, and self-doubt. The need for validation and comparison doesn't just distract, it distorts. It shifts your focus from growth to image, from progress to performance. You end up living to impress instead of living to express. The more you rely on external markers, the less you trust your internal compass. You begin to silence your own voice to fit in, rather than amplifying it to stand out. True clarity comes from within. It's built in silence and reflection, in alignment with your values. It requires tuning out the crowd and listening inwards. The more you honor your authenticity, the less validation you need. And the moment you stop comparing, you free your energy to focus on what actually matters: your journey, your growth, and your peace of mind. You must consciously choose who and what influences your thinking. Every day, your mind is exposed to countless voices, through conversations, media, books, and even passing comments. Not all of these voices deserve to shape your beliefs or decisions. Influence is powerful. It can inspire growth or feed insecurity. It can spark courage or fuel doubt. So if you're not aware of what you're allowing in, your mind can slowly be shaped by ideas that do not align with your values or your vision. Choosing your influences isn't about arrogance. It's about awareness. It's recognizing that your thoughts are the foundation of your actions. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, fear, and limitation, you will begin to think and act from a place of scarcity. But if you surround yourself with wisdom, encouragement, and truth, your mindset becomes a tool for strength and clarity. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the voices you listen to, all of them play a role in forming your perspective. That's why it's critical to be intentional. Ask yourself, who am I allowing to speak into my life? Does this voice challenge me or drain me? Does this source inspire action or provoke anxiety? When you choose with awareness, you protect your mental environment from being overrun by noise and confusion. Your mind is not a dumping ground for opinions or trends. It's the engine of your purpose. Guard it like something sacred. Let in what aligns with who you are becoming, not what distracts you from it. The more selective you are with your influences, the more focused, stable, and confident your thinking becomes. In a world of endless input, choosing your influence is not just wise, it's necessary for peace, clarity, and intentional living. Self-awareness and inner dialogue are your tools for reclaiming control. In a world that constantly tries to pull your attention outward, the ability to turn inward becomes your greatest strength. Self-awareness is the foundation of all meaningful change. It allows you to pause, observe, and understand what's happening inside your mind before reacting to what's happening outside. Without self-awareness, you live in reaction mode, pushed and pulled by emotions, circumstances, and other people's expectations. Expectation. But when you're aware, you create space between stimulus and response. You choose instead of being controlled. Inner dialogue is the voice you hear the most, yet many people let it run on autopilot. Left unchecked, it can become negative, critical, or self-sabotaging. But when you start engaging with that voice consciously, you reclaim your mental space. You begin to question harmful beliefs, challenge old narratives, and rewrite your story from a place of truth. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Why did I react that way? What belief is driving this fear? These simple questions open doors to understanding and healing. The more you practice inner dialogue rooted in kindness and curiosity, the more you shift from judgment to growth. You stop trying to silence your thoughts and start learning from them. And that's where true control begins. Not from suppressing what's inside, but from understanding and guiding it. Self-awareness doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you stronger. Because the person who knows themselves deeply can navigate anything with intention, calm, and clarity. In a noisy world, the quiet conversation you have with yourself may be the most important one of all. It's where your power lies where your power lies. And the more you develop that habit, the less control the outside world will have over your mind and your direction. Your unique voice is your strength. Don't trade it for noise. In a world full of trends, opinions, and constant broadcasts, it's tempting to blend in just to feel accepted. But the moment you begin to sound like everyone else is the moment you begin to lose the power of your own identity. Your voice, your thoughts, your truth, your perspective isn't meant to echo what's popular. It's meant to stand out and speak up for what matters to you. You weren't born to copy. You were born to contribute something original. And that originality is what gives your voice meaning. When you silence yourself to match the noise around you, you give up the one thing no one else can offer: your authenticity. You may gain approval, but it comes at the cost of inner alignment. Over time, pretending becomes exhausting. You begin to second-guess your instincts, filter your ideas, and water down your passion. Gosh. But deep down, a part of you knows that you're meant for more than fitting in. You're meant to impact, to influence, to inspire. Your voice has the power to lead, to challenge, to heal, but only if you dare to use it. And using it means trusting it even when others don't understand. It means speaking up when silence feels safer. It means creating instead of copying. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs your raw, real, and honest self. That's where the magic happens. That's where purpose lives. Your voice becomes powerful the moment you stop trying to perfect it and start owning it. Because the more you trust your own sound, the less tempting the noise becomes. And in that confidence, you begin to shape the world. Not by echoing it, but by standing apart from it. So protect your mind like the rare gift it is. Be intentional with your thoughts, selective with your influences, and bold with your voice. Don't hand over the keys to your thinking just to fit in with noise that was never meant to guide you. Your mind is too valuable, too powerful, and too uniquely yours to be shaped by anything other than purpose. Own it, guard it, lead with it. Because the moment you start thinking for yourself is the moment you start living for yourself. And that's where real freedom begins. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Guard it with purpose. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your own voice. Choose your influences wisely. Protect your thoughts fiercely. And speak from a place of truth, not fear. Not fear. You were not meant to blend in. You were meant to lead with clarity, intention, and courage. When you take back control of your thinking, you take back control of your life. So stop living on autopilot. Start living with awareness. And your future depends on the strength of your mind. Own it, trust it, and never hand it over to anyone else.